Friday, I was invited by Nintendo to a private look at the new Nintendo Switch console. This was an incredible opportunity, and I want to thank Nintendo so much for allowing me to do this. But now I'll get on to what you guys really want. My first impressions about what I thought about the new Nintendo Switch, hands-on. My first experience with the Switch was a nice round of battle mode for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Nintendo had several setups in the venue to emulate real-world settings and situations you could bring your Nintendo Switch to in order to show off just how multifaceted the device can be. I started off at the living room setting where I sat on a couch in front of a flat screen and a fake fireplace, a scene that's pretty standard for gaming these days. While the setting wasn't new, I did get to immediately try out one of my biggest concerns about the console right off the bat, the Joy-Con's horizontal comfortability. I was very pleasantly surprised by just how well the controller fit in my hand. While far from a perfect fit, the Joy-Con felt as organic as the Wiimote or NES or SNES controllers felt, with the only oddity being a lack of a D-pad. More on that later. By far, the game that surprised me the most was ARMS. At first glance, the game looks like another motion-controlled gimmick. However, by the time I finished the tutorial, I realized this game had room for incredible depth. The motion controls felt comfortable and actually made it feel like a boxing match where you had to be careful of your reflexes. However, as I played, I could tell that each dodge or hook punch would be more crisp with a Pro Controller. I don't know what competitive angle this game has, but after the intense matches and I look at the game's fantastic character designs, I can see the series finding its footing among Nintendo's other great IPs. I mean, look at these two. They practically scream Smash Bros. Characters. Now, I've already shared my thoughts on games readily available for the Switch at launch, so you know the software wasn't what I was most interested in while attending. Let's talk hardware. By far, the mode I wanted to know most about was the handheld mode. I was incredibly shocked how light and thin the console felt in my hands, and the Joy-Cons had a nice structure to them that made the console more comfortable in your hands than a 3DS. As soon as it left the dock, which took about 1 second to switch displays, very fast I might add, I noticed how beautiful the Switch's screen is. Colors pop and the screen size makes 720p look incredibly clean. Handheld mode also allowed me to inspect the console up close, and in doing so, I picked up a few fine details. The console is incredibly thin. The best comparison I can think of is a Garmin GPS with a large screen. All of its action is on the top of the console with the power and volume buttons on the left and the game card and headphone jack on the right. Towards the middle is a small cooling vent like you'd see on most regular laptops. On the back was the lovely kickstand, and to my surprise, upon pulling it out, I found the slot for the micro SD card, which I thought was really clever. The dock was a little less interesting, looking to be mostly made of plastic and functioning very similar to an iPhone or iHome dock the way that the console is placed inside of it. While I was incredibly impressed with the console, my time with it did leave me with a few concerns. I'd like to go back to the lack of D-pad I mentioned earlier and just say that 2D games on this console with no D-pad is going to be a big struggle. Controls felt very slippery with the analog stick, which made me fear that the glorious situation of taking my NES or SNES or old 2D platformer games on the go may be marred due to frustration with the controls. While I don't think it'll be cheap, I believe that this could be fixed by a retail Joy-Con design with a D-pad in place of the analog that you may be able to switch out if necessary. I also felt it was worth mentioning that I didn't see a slot for the stylus, so while there is a touchscreen, we may see Nintendo using touch-based games in a different manner from what we're used to seeing on the 3DS and Wii U gamepad. By far, my biggest concern before and after the event was the console's safety. Nintendo has always made it a point to design handheld hardware so that it can easily withstand a fall from around the height of an adult's waist. The Switch's design is sleek, stylish, and lean, which is a drastic change from the Fisher-Price-esque Wii U gamepad. While I don't need an industrial-grade case to protect from all danger, I do believe that investing in a case for my phone and laptop is well worth it as they're items that are not cheap and can be prone to accidents or drops. The Switch is not a cheap machine, and while I think the Joy-Cons are sturdy, the console itself worries me. This is largely because my hands-on experience with the console and dock leads me to believe that the snug fit of the console into the dock leaves little wiggle room for a case or bumper to be placed around the actual console. I will without a doubt be springing for a screen protector as soon as I buy it, and I hope that Nintendo can design a dock that can accommodate a case that either they or a third party could design. Adding on to this, the Switch is going to be incredibly expensive to get the most out of it. The console itself is pricey, and combining that with Pro controllers, screen protectors, carrying cases, portable chargers for the USB Type-C, micro SD cards where a 500GB one may cost more than the actual console itself, and plenty of other adjustments make for a crater in a lot of gamers' wallets. Despite those concerns, getting the chance to play the Switch ahead of time has definitely made me begin to cave into the hype. Before the event, I was fairly certain I would wait a bit after the launch before I pick up the console. However, now, I find myself scouring the internet for any signs of a pre-order. My optimism for this console is incredibly high, and I can't help but want to get my hands on it right away, despite its launch lineup woes. Those are just some of my big talking points, and I'm sure there are more points I forgot to mention. So if you want to know something, please feel free to leave a comment and ask your questions down below. I'll be sure to try and read and respond to each one that I can. Until next time, this has been the Game Corner. Bye guys.